There are so many short film behind the scenes videos on YouTube, but this isn't just another video like that. In this video, I am going to try my very best to be brutally honest about the process. A lot goes into making a short film like this, and you deserve the honest truth. We'll talk about the work I did before we filmed, what I learned directing, the challenges of filming the darn thing, and how we made the short film look nice, kind of like a movie. Then we'll talk about the music and sound stuff. And finally, at the end, I'll tell you my biggest takeaway, the main lesson I learned moving forward. So come along as I tell you the honest truth about making a short film. It all starts with the script. It was very interesting thinking about every single little moment, every look. When I write, I watch the movie in my head and write down what I see. There isn't much thinking involved, it's just watching what I see and writing it down. I don't know any other way to do it. After the script was done, I started working on storyboards. Before we filmed, we had to make a detailed plan. I knew there would be a lot of coverage and a lot of different close-ups and medium shots that we'd need to accomplish. I didn't want to be making those decisions on the set, I wanted to make them beforehand. First, I tried to draw all the storyboards, but my drawings aren't very good and I wanted to be more accurate with this. So we got this cool program called Set a Light. I think it was originally used for photography, but you can move these models around and you can move the camera around and you can create a space and you can place lights in the space. So I ended up making a replica of the house we were going to film in, and I placed the subjects where I wanted to be. That way we could find out each shot beforehand, address the problems, and fix them. We even were able to make a simple lighting plan that we ended up following pretty closely. I then recorded my voice reading the entire script and then changed it with 11 labs so my voice would sound different for each character.
What do you think of Andrea's talent, honey?
Go Andrea! Woohoo!
No, but seriously, what do you think?
This was very helpful for me because it wasn't just a storyboard at this point. It helped me get a feel for the story. This really helped me get all the heavy lifting out of the way. I knew exactly where I wanted the camera to be, and I knew what millimeter lens we were going to shoot on. I'm glad I did this ahead of time, so my mental space was freed up so I could focus on the actors when we filmed.
Camera rolling? Rolling. All right, and we're going.
I've shot a lot of commercials. I've shot a lot of videos. I've been closely involved in making them, but I've never directed by myself.
Oh, stop it. You're just trying to flatter us. And then Mark's, oh, that's really something. Quite a job.
So this was the first time I was talking with actors and making the important decisions. The director has to know the project completely. Every line of dialogue, every little moment. If there's anything vague in the director's head, it'll come off vague on film. A director has to have a vision. You have to see what you want. And after you have that vision, you kind of bump up against the real world, schedules, the actors, the space you're in, the people that are helping you. There's a disconnect between the two things. And so a director has a vision, and a director has to take that vision and pull it into the real world.
So now, Tom steps out, and we've got Sarah coming in. Oh, you guys were great. That whole part.
Balancing both of those things simultaneously and juggling back and forth is the trick. I would say that directing is about being vulnerable.
Okay, this is brilliant. Let's do it again. It's so like horror filmy.
I know this is kind of pie in the sky, esoteric stuff, but I think headspace is everything. When you're a director, where you are emotionally and what you're going for kind of gets translated on film, and as a director, your attitude completely affects everyone else. But when you're not feeling it, you kind of have to pretend like you are, and when you don't know the answer, you have to pretend like you do know the answer.
Go.
This is extremely uncomfortable.
What I found was preparation was very important for me. Luckily with this project, I did feel prepared enough. And then in the moment when I'm talking with the actors, when I'm directing the actors and shaping the scene, it was intuitive for me. It was like I was one of them. Just like writing the thing, there wasn't a lot of thinking involved. It was more of an instinctual process where I found myself talking and getting excited and running around. I absolutely loved working with these actors. They had funny lines. They helped fix some of the lines. They came up with new parts. They came up with some of the funny jokes. Like the funny noodles line, like the funniest line in the whole thing, that was something the actors came up with.
So real, so raw.
That would be the noodles.
And I feel like as a director, my job was to see that and see, oh, I liked that little part that you did. Let's incorporate that. I really like that, and giving them the confidence with that idea to keep doing that. When I was writing the script, I felt like the dialogue seemed one-dimensional and that each character wasn't defined enough. But yesterday we had a great rehearsal and we changed some lines and figured out some beats that needed to be improved. I was really surprised when the actors rehearsed these lines and I saw each of their characters coming through. I realized that they added the dimension I needed. One thing to note is we shot the whole thing completely out of order. Yes, we started with the first shot, but then the next shot was one of the last shots of the short film. And the shot after that was in the middle. So it was interesting to try to keep the tone of the piece together. So far we've done the establishing wide and we did another shot of Sarah. And the reason why we're doing this out of order is because it's all about the lighting, right? So we're shooting all of the shots from this direction first, and then later we're gonna shoot other directions and have to change the lighting for that. So if we didn't do it this way, we'd be jumping all around, it would take forever. That was one of the reasons why it was so important to have a plan. If we wouldn't have had a plan in place and had a detailed storyboard, I think we could have gotten confused. Here's the shot list.
So anyway.
Every shot. So, wide shot, and I've identified what lines. Every time someone gets up, the very beginning, the very end. This short film should have been filmed in 2 days. We only filmed it in 1 day.
68, that's off.
We're behind schedule.
68.
We're way behind schedule. Because of that, I had to make some major compromises. One of the compromises was the amount of time I could spend on each angle. So, for the wide angle, I really only had them say a few lines, and then we were done. We didn't run through the whole thing on the wide. So in the edit, I never had a chance to go wide, so I had to predict beforehand when I would want to go wide. So then we did a bunch of 2 shots where we filmed both people at once, and we were able to run through the whole script on those. But then when it came to the close-ups, we didn't have time to run through the entire script and do every single line perfectly on a close-up. So I had to go through the script and identify what lines would be essential on a close-up. And I think I got like 80 to 90% of them right on set for the edit. But then later on in the edit, there were some shots where I wanted a close-up of that line and I didn't have it. If I would have had twice as much time to film, I would have had more options in the edit, and I would have been able to work with the actors more. Because of the time limit, there were some shots where I thought, this isn't what I want. I don't know how to communicate what I want. This isn't what I thought, but I just need some time here to think about it, and I didn't have the time. So I had to make compromises and say, okay, that's not what I want, but I'm gonna have to keep going because we don't have time to do it. Let's talk about the cinematography of this thing. I love lighting, and that's usually what I do, so it's kind of important to me. First, we went on to Shot Deck, which is a cool website where you can find different shots from movies. We found a cool movie called Game Night with Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman. And we liked the look because it was at night, it was a comedy, but it was kind of moody. And so we used that kind of as a base starting point. We didn't copy it, and I don't think our final project looks that cool or that good, but at least it was a starting point. So we actually did some camera tests beforehand. We kind of found the look we wanted. We found the millimeter of lenses we were gonna use. We did some tests where it looked a lot more moody, but it just wasn't fitting because this is a comedy. It just needs to be just kind of there. So we kind of settled with lighting that was just there, that you would never notice, that wasn't that pretty, wasn't that complicated. But what that allowed us to do was film faster. We kind of lit the whole space so everything looked good. So when we moved the camera for the close-ups or for the medium shots, it was pretty close to what we wanted. We just had to modify the light a little bit and shape it with a couple more lights or a negative fill or a bounce. Today is a very special day. We are filming a short film, and it takes place at night. So this was the first step. Check this out. See? Nighttime. When I was writing the short film and it said it took place at night, I didn't really anticipate this would need to happen. We thought we were gonna film it at nighttime, but the reason why we did this is so we can start and film all day. My number one priority with this project actually wasn't the lighting. It was the framing. Framing is so important. Where the camera is almost everything.
But the light, this key is way too flat.
Way too bright and flat, I know. But framing wise, bring the camera this way a little bit more.
Oh, the whole camera itself?
Yes. Okay, let's try that. So you can see some of these shots where we see a shoulder or we see the edge of this painting. That was very deliberate. I feel like these connecting elements between shots helps the cuts flow. You have to think of the cut. You know, you'll see online all these cool cinematography shots, but I'm always wondering, like, what about the cut? Where are my eyes going between the shots? That's where cinematography lives. It's not just the lighting or the shape of the thing, it's where the viewer's eyes are going and controlling that. One crucial part here, if you're gonna make a short film, if your sound isn't perfect, the short film is going to be cheesy. Or if you don't have a professional sound person, you really need to know your stuff and be able to get good sound with pretty good gear. I think it's very funny that people spend a few $1,000 on a camera and they don't spend $1,000 on a microphone. Because a $1,000 microphone is kind of the best microphone you can get. You can get like a movie quality microphone for $1,000. So anyway, my advice to you if you're gonna make a short film is spend money on the microphone just as much as the camera. The microphone matters. Sound really, really matters. Next, I want to talk about some of the sound design we did in post-production. Go ahead and listen to this section.
The pie is really good. Also, it takes courage to perform in front of people like that.
So you heard that wood floor creak there? We filmed in a house with fake wood floors. There was no creaking. All of those sounds were added later. Every single sound you hear, except for the dialogue, was added later. It was recorded by our sound designer. What was so cool about being there for the sound was story was number one. If someone leaned forward and there was a little creak of the chair, we put it there because we wanted that situation to feel awkward or empty.
Your opinion means the world to me.
And so there were a lot of decisions with the sound design and the music that were all story-based. We didn't really think about, oh, what would realistically happen in this situation? It was more of, we're bringing the audience on a ride, what do they need to hear? So, what was the big lesson, the big takeaway I learned from doing this project? I learned that just doing something, just making something is the most important thing. I don't know about you, but it's easier for me to talk about something than to do it. And I'm ashamed to say that in over a decade of me making videos for clients and doing this as a job, I've only made 2 short films now. And this is my first film with any dialogue. I learned that I just have to do the work, make something, even if it's not perfect, and just put it out there so I can do another one. I'm excited for my next short film so I can learn even more, and I can teach you about it. So expect more videos like this in the future. I hope this was helpful. If you're gonna go out and make a short film, good luck. There isn't one right way to do it, and there's no right answer. Each person is their own creator, their own artist, and they need to find their own way. So I've shared with you what I've learned, and now you need to go out and figure out what you're gonna learn, because it's not gonna be the same. If you enjoyed this video and you want to subscribe to this channel, don't. This is a channel where people don't subscribe. We tell people to unsubscribe. We don't like the idea of subscribers. We think they're stupid. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're watching this, but don't subscribe.